Is this automatic on now? We don't have a toggle we have to switch anymore?
I call the July 6, 2017 meeting of the Board of Commissioners to order tonight. I want to welcome everyone who's here in the chambers with us, who are watching on TV and who are watching on live streaming. So welcome to our meeting. Our invocation tonight is by Jeff Voudray, Johnson City Police Department chaplain, and we'll follow that with the Pledge of Allegiance. If we would all stand, please.
Let's pray. Father, I just thank you for blessing this city. I pray wisdom and some creative solutions for our leaders. And Father, that you just continue to bless this city. In Jesus' name, amen.
Amen. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Well, coming off the pledge, we had a great week this week celebrating the 4th of July up at Freedom Hall, so I want to thank all of our extra staff and police officers and transit who really supported our citizens in that great birthday celebration, so it was great. Mr. Stahl.
Thank you, Mayor. The first item is consideration of the minutes of the regularly scheduled City Commission meeting held on Thursday, June 15, 2017.
Move approval.
Second. Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Van Brocklin,
Pass.
Commissioner Wise,
Yes.
and Vice Mayor Brock.
Yes.
Second item is consideration of the minutes for the special called City Commission meeting held on Friday, June 23, 2017.
Move approval.
Second. Is there any further discussion, Commissioner Van Brocklin? Okay. Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Van Brocklin,
Yes.
Commissioner Wise,
Pass.
Vice Mayor Brock.
Yes.
Third item is consideration of the minutes of the special city called City Commission meeting held on Monday, June 26, 2017.
Move approval.
Second.
Any further discussion? I might just comment to the public that these last two meetings were for passing of the budget. Second, third reading of the budget. Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Van Brocklin.
Yes.
Commissioner Wise.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock.
Yes.
Okay, next item is proclamations, resolutions, and presentations. We have proclamation recognizing Parks and Recreation Month. We have Chairman Jonathan Kinnick and Director James Ellis and Rec Manager Sam Miller here on behalf of Parks and Recreation.
Well, this is really a privilege to be able to present this proclamation tonight because we are all about what we do in our city to support our citizens and our quality of life. And our Parks and Recreation Department just does the best job in terms of supporting our employees, our citizens. Our parks are the best. And one of the nice things about being commissioners, these are probably some of the most compliments that we receive about what we do here as a city. So with great honor, I'm going to read this proclamation. Whereas Parks and Recreation programs are vitally important to the quality of life in Johnson City, ensuring the health of all citizens and contributing to the economic and environmental well-being of our community. And whereas Parks and Recreation programs build active communities, aid in the prevention of chronic disease, and provide therapeutic services for those who are disabled, and also improve the physical, mental, and emotional health of all citizens. And whereas Parks and Recreation programs increase a community's economic prosperity through increased property values, expansion of the local tax base, increased tourism, attraction and retention of businesses, and crime reduction. And whereas Parks and Recreation areas are fundamental to the environmental well-being of our community, ensure its ecological beauty, and provide a place for children and adults to connect with nature and recreate outdoors. Now, therefore, I, Jenny L. Brock, Vice Mayor of the City of Johnson City, on behalf of the Mayor, David Tomita, do hereby proclaim July 2017 as Parks and Recreation Month in Johnson City, Tennessee, and encourage all citizens to get your play on by enjoying the countless offerings of our Parks and Recreation Department, whose employees work tirelessly each day to provide safe, fun, educational, and rewarding programs and recreational spaces for all. So thank y'all for coming. I will let you introduce yourself, and I know you have a few words to say about Recreation Month.
Thank you so much, Jenny. I'm Jonathan Kinnick. I'm chair of the Parks and Rec. James Ellis, director, and Sam. Pardon me?
Recreation Service.
Yeah, Recreation Service Director. I've known James for a few decades, and I was so glad to see him be appointed recently as the director. And we're glad that we have this opportunity. Sam's got a whole list. I'm going to let him say a few items for the theme for this month of what's going on through Parks and Rec.
Thank you. So the national theme for July's Parks and Recreation Month this year is Get Your Play On. We wanted to take that as literally as possible. We've planned our main event for July 15th at Memorial Park Community Center. We're calling it Saturday in the Park. We're going to have classic games such as free throw contests, three-point shooting contests, watermelon eating contests, sack races. We'll have inflatables for the kids, and we'll finish off the night with a movie, E.T., in the park there. So it's going to be a great time for all. Outside of that, we have a whole month packed full of activities, and we hope to see everyone come join us.
They're on the website, right?
They are on the website. You can visit myjcparks.org or call our main office at 283-5815 for more information.
Thank you. Thank you, Vice Mayor, for the proclamation and for your support, as well as the Commission's support, Parks and Recreation.
Well, the play in the parks is for adults too, is that right? Okay, very good. I used to have a poster in my office that said, "Don't forget the joy of the child within you." I think we're all a lot better when we play and laugh sometimes. So good luck and get your play on.
Mayor, next item for your consideration is the consent agenda.
Commissioners, any item you would like to pull? Mr. Wise?
Mayor, I'd like to pull A4, which is consider a memorandum of understanding between the City of Johnson City administering the Johnson City, Washington County Family Justice Center and the First Judicial District Court Clinic Forensic Services. And I would like to pull A6, consider change order number 1 for Burwell Construction Company on the Freedom Hall Civic Center renovations and additions project, please.
Very good. You pulled the one that I was going to, so we will start with A4.
Okay. Heather, if you'd... Okay, Chief is going to present. Well, Chief, I'm happy to have you present, but as much as anything else, I don't have any questions about this memorandum. I wanted to give the Family Justice Center the opportunity to talk a little bit about where they stand right now, what they're accomplishing, and some events that they've got upcoming, I understand.
Very good. Thank you very much. Vice Mayor and Commissioners, appreciate it very much. Before I begin with the MOU, and I'll allow Ms. Brack to come and give you an update here in a moment, I do want to, of course, Director Brack of the Family Justice Center, Washington County, Johnson City. And also with us this evening are Judge Sharon Green of the Johnson City Juvenile Court, Mr. G.C. Hudson, who is a board member of the First Judicial District Court Clinic, and Mr. Jim Miller, a local attorney who is also a board member of the First Judicial District Court Clinic. Just for your background, as far as the court clinic goes, they are another partner that's been secured by Director Brack to serve in conjunction with the Family Justice Center and on site. What the court clinic basically does is they are a support system for the juvenile court judges in their efforts to make decisions in the best interest of children in the realm of divorce, custody, and visitation. Sometimes, as you know, there are high conflict and frequent litigation involved in such cases, and there are complex issues. So what the court clinic does basically is that it uses an interdisciplinary approach, such as mental health professionals and family team professionals, to interview and assess families, to clarify any issues and report that back to the judges so that they can make the best decisions in the interest of the children and the family. The goal here is to move past recurrent conflict, facilitate effective co-parenting, help children to adjust well in a co-parenting environment. And it's an excellent fit for co-location at the Family Justice Center. Per the MOU, the court clinic will provide mediation clinic, visitation clinic, assist clientele working toward reunification, and exposure to services and options available from the Family Justice Center. So these are all very beneficial, another good fit for our Family Justice Center in Johnson City. Does anyone have any questions with regard to this particular MOU from myself or Director Brack?
I guess the only question I would have, do we really have enough space to be able to facilitate this? Because it's obviously something that's complex. It's obviously something that involves more people than we would like to admit. And
Unfortunately, you're absolutely correct. And we're very fortunate to have the cooperation of this on-site partnership. They're allocated 3 offices inside of the Family Justice Center for their sole use, as well as all of the use within our facilities that are currently on offer for all of our partners to be able to use to meet with clients. This is an incredible need that we've been able to really identify inside of our community over the past year of operation at the Family Justice Center. So being able to find a partnership that's able to help fill this gap and continue to increase these services is absolutely important. One day we will absolutely hope to burst at the seams with the amount of services that we're able to offer at the Family Justice Center, and we're just happy that they were able to come in and lay a stake in the ground and say this is going to be their space as well.
now, I can't recall, is there room to expand on that site? I can't remember whether there's additional office space there that we can avail ourselves of or not.
There's a potential. The other half of the building is owned and occupied by the actual entire building owner, so there is additional space there. The space that we currently have under lease, we are now at capacity, but it's a good capacity to be at.
Okay, great. Yeah, I think it's a great fit. Commend you,
Thank
all
you
of
very much.
Ms. Green, do you have anything you'd like to add?
Thank you. I just wanted to add that so many times what the situation that we see is that children who need to have contact with both parents, for some reason, whether it's a prior drug problem, whether it's been absence from the children's lives, or just a variety of other problems, dangers of domestic violence. But those children still need to have access to that parent. And what the Justice Center is going to be able to allow us to do is to have that visitation there in a secure location, safe, children safe. We don't have to worry at all about their safety while they're having that visit. And so it is just a tremendous asset to juvenile court judges, to circuit court judges, and to the chancellors in this whole First Judicial District. So thank you for this opportunity to have this space.
I think the Family Justice Center has been just a great example of all the organizations who have come together to really address an unfortunate problem that all communities have, but I think we're going about it in the right way, and early intervention to see if we can mitigate some of the problems that arise out of domestic violence. So thank you for all your hard work, and I know you're preparing a year-end report to come back, and
Absolutely.
So we'll be able to hear that.
We've officially been open as of July 1st, full 12 months, so we've been able to really be able to understand what we said we were going to bring to the community and be able to turn around and let everyone know the type of interactions that we're able to have, our positive outcomes, the way in which we're able to emphasize the way the community partners work together to work towards that sense of safety and hope for those that we work with. So we are the tail end of putting together all of the numbers, but it's very easy for me to say from what I've been able to do now is we're looking at almost 500 clients that we've served through the Family Justice Center, keeping in mind that one client can be anywhere from one interaction, and most of them it's multiple interactions through accessing the court system, through alternate services that we offer. So we have been able to work with people during the entire timeline that they needed our services. So it's a vast number, and we're appreciative to all of our partners and to everyone who's been able to reach out to us.
You might just mention, Ms. Brack, when a victim comes in, they have access to multiple agencies all in one location.
That's correct. Our model is what we like to call a one-stop shop. So we want to be able to plant a flag somewhere on a corner and say, if you have a question or if you have a need, this is a safe place for you to be able to come to. So when they come inside of our doors, they might not know what they need, but they know that we're a safe place and we're going to be able to provide that. And we're fortunate to have many on-site partners who are able to offer services on-site. We also have off-site partners that are able to respond to the Family Justice Center. So we know that we're going to be able to meet somebody's needs within our facility. They're not going to have to go 6 or 7 different places to be able to meet their needs. We're going to make sure that those needs are met once they know that one location to come to.
I'd also like to comment, Commissioners, that this has been a great project in partnership with the county. And the Family Justice Center started as a grant, but now the city and the county fully fund the Family Justice Center. So it's good work that we've all done together.
It's been a wonderful relationship and a wonderful to get to this point. We had 3 years of planning and then 1 full year, 2 years of planning and 1 full year of operation for the Family Justice Center, and it's been a lot of work, but it's been incredibly rewarding to get to this point. And I also wanted to mention that July 21st is the official birthday of the Family Justice Center. So that was the day on July 21st, 2016, we had our grand opening celebration. We had our ribbon cutting, and we're going to host a birthday celebration on behalf of the Family Justice Center to really allow all of our key stakeholders, our partners, and really the public to be able to really come in and understand what it is that we do and not have to worry about whether or not they're disrupting services or things like that. We need people to understand what we do and how they can access these services. So we're kind of opening our doors and having birthday cake and really being able to address what it is we've been able to do over the past year and where we're moving in the future with partnerships such as this.
Thank you.
Thank
Any
you.
other questions?
Thanks.
Thanks so much. Our next item is A6, consider change order for Burwell Construction.
Mr. Stahl, the reason that I pulled this was to give you the opportunity to indicate to the public what it is that we are doing at Freedom Hall additionally, where the needs are, and how we intend to meet those through the application of what remains from the money bonded initially to take care of reconstruction at Freedom Hall.
A way of introduction, as you all remember, in allocation, this project comprises in total about $12 million. It was initiated a couple years ago after extensive study of the failing HVAC system. It was also identified in Freedom Hall that a variety of needs were unmet after 43 years of a facility that served the community well, but still, at the same time, was showing wear and tear without any substantial reinvestment over 43 years. The staff, in my judgment, I think in your judgment, performed admirably well in basically maintaining a good facility. It was structurally sound, but still needed a lot of improvements. And in the course of your initial allocation, you committed to the total replacement of the HVAC system, which was over $6 million. You committed to expansion of restrooms, new restrooms, particularly women's restrooms and family restrooms in the facility, which never before existed by name, renovated the existing restrooms. You replaced the roof. All the roofs at Freedom Hall were replaced over the pool as well. You installed an elevator system that never before existed, not only a passenger elevator system, but an elevator system that could actually take freight and take it up to the main level, which was long overdue. You then committed to replacement of all the original seating in the facility, over 5,600 seats in the facility, as well as addressing handicapped ADA accessible seating. Those were added to meet ADA standards today and renovated. And we went further prior to that in replacing the lighting system in the arena. We replaced the exterior lighting system around the concourse, some of which have LED lights for efficiency. We replaced the entire electrical system going into the building, tying the facility into the power plant at Freedom Hall, and also replaced the decking on the exterior of Freedom Hall. And as I think Tom Shanks would comment, there's obviously a variety of projects that you can still address, but we try to knock off, frankly, the major projects that were not only recommended by the citizens who go there, and frankly enjoyed many shows over the years, but said, hey, there needs to be a reinvestment up there. There's some things that need to be replaced, but also we recognize that by making these renovations, not just because of East Tennessee State University basketball, which certainly was a welcome addition to the facility, but by having them up there, we realized that in order to attract a variety of potential new events up there, community use as well, this facility needed just a great HVAC system, great access, great seating, new roof, and the whole gamut of improvements that largely were untouched over 43 years. So we've achieved this thanks to this great commitment. At the same time, we recognized the original $12 million allocation. Jan Jennings identified about $600,000 that had yet to be committed to a specific project up there, and frankly, that was we did that intentionally to make sure there were sufficient funds to address any unforeseen circumstances or conditions that could pop up. And one of the areas, of course, was the paving that was long overdue, and as well, and that final phase on parking lot G was just recently addressed. And with the involvement of Mr. Burleson and Mr. Shanks, we also initiated renovation of the pool project, which is ongoing right now, the painting and some renovations of the pool. Of course, the restrooms were addressed in conjunction with the original project. But right now, we're bringing to you tonight an additional request to have a change order toward Burwell Construction Company for additional recommended items, and these are specifically to renovate the 4 concession stand areas that exist in Freedom Hall. Again, those were not part of the initial project, not because they're not important, but just because we felt we needed to prioritize the main areas that of concern that needed to be addressed, and we felt that if we had money left over, we'd come to you, and if we didn't, we'd try to address it in a future project. So that's recommended to renovate, complete the 4 concession stands, refurbish the outer concourse floors with epoxy flooring, and refurbish the interior arena concourse floors with epoxy flooring. And again, as I mentioned in a recent agenda meeting, the floors have been addressed to some extent in part over the years, but not comprehensively. And we feel that this is a good opportunity to have the floors addressed once and for all in a comprehensive manner and just finish this project entirely. We also have recommended the painting and restriping of the Freedom Hall pool interior. And you're asking, well, you thought that project may be already ongoing. The project is ongoing in the Freedom Hall pool, but again, trying to identify dollars that may have to be committed. We were taking a conservative approach. We thought at the end, if we had to paint the pool ourselves, we would, but where we're at in this project with the contractors, fully engaged in the project right now, we feel it makes perfect sense to have a professional painting of the pool once and for all, and to have the striping and the paint of the same standard that the rest of the facility is currently undergoing, and that's why this was added as well. So we have a total expenditures presented to you tonight of $296,813. This would increase the original contract of Burwell from $324,696.63 to $3,543,776. And again, as I mentioned, the balance of this funding is from the remaining balance in the original allocation of the overall project for Freedom Hall of $12 million. And that's where we're at tonight. I do have Tom Shanks, the architect, as well as Tom Burleson, construction as well here, should you have any more detailed questions that I had not answered.
Really don't have any detailed questions. I think those have been answered out pretty well in our agenda meetings. Mostly wanted to have the public have an understanding of what we're trying to accomplish, and that monies were still available to accomplish that from the prior bonded issue.
I would ask the question about the project plan. What's the timeline on these projects, when they'll be completed, and any more detail you want to share with us about what it's going to look like when we finish?
It'll take about 12 weeks. The plan is to do the concession stands and the inner concourse at one time, and then we will do the outer concourse in either 3 or 4 sections, depending on what the use needs to be. But all total, it'll take about 12 weeks.
Will the concession stands just be cosmetic, or will we change out some of the equipment that's in there?
It's all new countertops and new shutters and paint.
It's cosmetic.
It's not, it doesn't have anything to do with equipment or
Okay.
anything like that.
Any other questions? All right, well, thank you. All right, anything else we need to ask on the consent agenda? If not, I'll entertain a motion.
Move approval of the consent agenda, please.
Second.
Any further discussion? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Van Brocklin?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes. Mr. Stahl?
Mayor, next time on the ordinances, we have first reading of an ordinance number 4639-17, an ordinance to rezone 701 East Maple Street from R4 medium density residential to B3 supporting central business district. It's before you on first reading.
Hello, Ms. Carrier.
Hello.
What you got?
The petitioner is Mr. Brian Winston, and the proposal is to renovate the existing structure at the 8 acres there near the Tweetsy Trail on 701 East Maple Street, and a concept plan is required. The plan depicts the location of the building, ingress, egress on Alabama Street, parking area, and the location of new restrooms. Staff does recommend approval. Although this property was classified as a residential use in the land use plan, the property developed differently than expected when the land use plan was put in place. And because of the Tweetsy Trail, we think that this has generated pedestrian traffic, vehicle traffic that can be serviced by this small bicycle shop, the goods and services provided by it. So it would be a great use for this property. It was once a business, and it was built in 1922, and it was there for 95 years, but is no longer a legal nonconforming use due to the fact that there's 50% of the structure was deteriorated and destroyed, so the replacement cost would eliminate that. So it does need to be rezoned. Petitioner has also agreed to work with the city on finalizing some restrooms at that area, and we've been working on that. The property will be a transition. There's heavy industrial, of course, adjacent to this. We think that's a good transition into the residential in the area and would be a great benefit. So we do recommend approval. I do have some elevations of, that's the existing building and what it looks like now. It is the elevations as to what he plans on doing in the future. So it would be a nice addition to that area.
I make a comment, this is not contingent on the rezoning, but Mr. Winston has met with city staff. We when we were part of the Tweetsy Task Force, we always looked at the potential of having some permanent bathrooms installed somewhere along the trailhead of the Tweetsy Trail, and we never were able to kind of identify a property that would be suitable. Meanwhile, Mr. Winston has purchased this property and come to us and proposed through this schematic, right there would be some public restrooms. He's willing to enter into for lack of a better way to say, a contract or a relationship of some sort with the city. The city attorney is aware of his interest and has been contemplating his proposal. So at some point, regardless of this rezoning, this is independent, but we feel very strongly that a partnership may be in not only Mr. Winston's best interest, but the public's best interest in solving a permanent restroom situation and eliminating a porta-john that we're hearing more regularly about that is not really an acceptable alternative. So again, we don't have the details for you tonight, but that's something we're actively in discussions with Mr. Winston about.
My understanding is we've had no comments from the public against this, correct?
No, sir, no comments. He did hold a neighborhood meeting. There were no opposition to this, and public hearing and planning commission, there was no opposition.
Very good. I think it's a fine addition. We appreciate it.
Commissioners,
Move approval.
Second.
is there any further discussion? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Van Brocklin.
Yes.
Commissioner Wise.
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock.
Yes.
Next item is ordinance number 4641-17, an ordinance to consider amendments to the Johnson City Ordinance, Section 3.5, non-conforming lots, Section 4.10.5, non-permanent garbage disposal equipment, Section 6.10.3.2C, rear yard setback for RP zoning districts, Section 6.33, numbering of gateway overlay district in association with Section 3.3.1.1E, on non-conforming uses is before you on first reading.
We have several housekeeping issues that we'd like to address. One is on non-conforming lots, and this came up during the construction of the VA access road. If you recall, AutoZone, we needed to utilize some of that property. And in doing so, for the public use, created an issue as far as not meeting our subdivision regulations, and a variance was required through the Board of Zoning Appeals. We would like to amend our text to say when dedication of land to the public for the purpose of open space or greenways or trails, parks, streets, anything for the public infrastructure, if it creates non-conforming property, then a variance by the BZA would not be required by Johnson City, and that way then the subdivision plat without need or requirement of a zoning variance or the payment of that wouldn't be required by the property owner, hence because it was for the public good.
Are there any instances that you can think of where that would be problematic doing that? I mean, it seems to make sense, but is there anything that we would need to be aware of?
Not that we are aware of. We ran this by legal, and legal supported this language. We could not think of an issue of where that would create a problem for the city or the landowner. Actually, this would actually benefit the landowner quite significantly, and they wouldn't have to pay to go for the Board of Zoning Appeals and.
Yeah, I can definitely see
Yes.
where it would be beneficial to the landowner who made the donation. I just want to make sure.
The second item for housekeeping, non-permanent garbage disposal equipment. Currently, the way that it's worded includes non-permanent structures. It eliminates location of a permanent dumpster enclosure within the setbacks for principal structures. Basically, what we want to do is say that the commercial property adjoins a residential property. Permanent garbage disposal equipment shall at least be set back 20 feet from the property line, and they're not excluded from setbacks.
So right now, they are excluded from setback of any sort, so they could put it right against the residential
Yes,
property
sir.
line.
It just makes sense for the residential properties to be
Yeah, I
protected.
didn't understand from the text quite exactly what the issue was, so good, thank you.
Also, on rear setbacks for RP zoning. Right now, it states that an exterior lot has to meet the setbacks of the adjoining property. By definition, an exterior lot is a corner lot, and so it's not meeting the intent of what this regulation was. We want to say that the rear yard setback on lots adjoining the RP district that are adjacent to non-RP district zones, that the rear yard setback is actually the adjacent lot setback. Therefore, it protects those adjoining residential areas that are not RP in nature. The way that it's worded now, it would only apply to corner lots, which is not the intent of this zoning setback requirement. Any questions on that? Does that make sense? The other is the numbering of the Gateway District. In 2002, the UPO was amended and adopted as Section 631 in the zoning ordinance. The Gateway overlay was also adopted as the 631. There is no 633 within the zoning ordinance, therefore, we would like to amend the Gateway to 633. And the associated text involved with that in the
No
non-conforming
changes in
structures.
text, just strictly moving it.
Yes, sir.
Okay.
Is that it?
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, commissioners.
I'm going to look at that middle issue a little bit more between now and the next meeting, but everything seems to make sense to me. So I would move approval.
Second.
Any further comments? Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Van Brocklin?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes.
Okay, next item, Mayor, is ordinances on third reading. Ordinance number 4638-17, an ordinance to rezone South Greenwood Drive from B1 neighborhood business to R6 high-density residential University District. Again, before you on third reading.
Commissioners? Any additional questions on this ordinance?
Move approval.
Is there a second?
And I'll second that. I do want to ask one question since I missed the last meeting. We've had no issues from the public regarding this.
No opposition, sir.
Okay, very good. Thank you.
Ms. Jennings?
Commissioner Van Brocklin?
Yes.
Commissioner Wise?
Yes.
Vice Mayor Brock?
Yes. Thank you, Ms. Carey.
Thank you.
And that brings us to the next item is public input.
All right, I will officially open the public input. Is there anyone here who would like to address the commission on any items that are not on the agenda tonight?
Jonathan, you got anything?
Seeing no one, I close the public input session. Mr. Stahl, is there anything else before us?
Well, we're at the point of adjournment. There are no other reports other than information in your packet for your review.
Commissioner Wise, anything
No,
you
ma'am.
want to add? Commissioner Van Brocklin?
No, thank you, though.
All right, I think that we are ready to adjourn. Meeting adjourned.